Millions of tonnes of Britain's household waste are burnt to make electricity at incinerators across the UK every year.
We're becoming the rubbish backyard of England. It's just another kick in the face.
I've been investigating the rapid growth of these facilities and their impact on local communities.
We've been inundated with flies, rats, smell, noise. It's just been horrendous.
These black bag waste burners are often built in some of the UK's most deprived cities and towns.
It's not an accident that we're burning waste over the poorest regions of the country.
We've got big business here involved, bully boy businesses.
Take it to another area and let them deal with it. We're not a dumping ground, we live here.
Within 2 hours, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's one up there, one there, one there, one there, one there. Absolutely disgusting, and this is my kitchen.
Mandy Royal's home in Runcorn in the northwest of England is no different to millions of others around the UK, apart from having Britain's biggest incinerator as her next door neighbour. The plant burns vast amounts of household rubbish to make electricity. The facility, Mandy says, has had a negative effect on her life.
Look how thick it is. But it's blowing straight at our houses and we're breathing all that in. And that's my garden. So if you want to sit in the garden and enjoy the sun, you've got the smell, the steam, flies, and then the noise as well. We've got an L shape of houses, and I've been round and counted them, and there's 11 empty. No one wants to live down here anymore. So houses are going to rotten ruin as well.
This giant furnace has been burning waste for almost a decade. Last year, nearly 1 million tonnes of rubbish arrived in Runcorn for incineration from all over the north of England.
Well, I've lived here since '98, and then in 2015 they decided to put the incinerator in my front garden. Well, it felt like my front garden, and ever since it's just been a nightmare. We've been inundated with flies, rats, smell, noise. It's just been horrendous.
Have you thought about moving? Is that something you'd want to do?
I've tried to. Who's going to buy my house down here? I can't afford to move my business and sell the house, so I'm sort of stuck. I'm stuck in a rut down here. You're embarrassed to have people come round, you know, seeing where you live. It's ugly and looks like a prison. It stinks, it's noisy. I'm just stuck in this little corner with a big monster staring at me.
Upset by the environmental impact on their lives, a group of local residents launched a civil claim against the incinerator operator Viridor over issues like dust, noise and smells. About 2 weeks before Christmas in 2023, they were offered a £1 million settlement. The money was split between 180 households, giving them each a share of about £4,500. Just around the corner from Mandy's home, George Parker runs a garage. He was offered the payout by Viridor, but rejected it.
You must be George.
I'm here.
Nice to meet you. How are you doing?
I'm fine, thank you. If you wanted the money, you had to sign a non-disclosure agreement, which everybody did. I didn't. So
Why
that's
didn't
why.
you? Why didn't
well,
you?
I think they've been unfair in what they're paying, and then completely unfair what they're doing. You know, they're damaging the environment, not just for me and not just this area. They're paying £1 million out and getting everybody to sign this order. In other words, £1 million hush fund and a gagging order. Unfortunately, we've got big business here involved. Bully boy businesses, and that's what they are. Unfortunately, they're a bully. And that's what they're proven to be. They're just, all they think now, we'll pay this undisclosed, or this £1 million payout, and the problem will go away. The problem is still here. The problem is still here.
Non-recyclable waste can be used to create low-carbon power.
Viridor said it won't make any comment in relation to the payout and the non-disclosure agreement. It did tell us it's heavily regulated by the Environment Agency and the amount of noise and odour from its incinerator remain within permitted levels, and only water vapour is released from its facility, not smoke. It said that any complaints it gets are fully investigated and fed back to local residents. But Mandy feels the company isn't doing enough.
When you've gone to Viridor, have they listened to your complaints? Have they said they'll do anything about it?
You can't get through to Viridor. You have to go through the environmental health or do it that way. But I bet Mr Viridor hasn't got one of these in his front garden. They've added a mess to the community. Yeah, they've not, in my eyes, they haven't done anything. They've just given us a life of hell for the last 9 years.
They would say that, look, we're doing this because it's better for the environment than putting this rubbish into landfill. At least we're creating electricity out of it, we're creating energy out of it. Surely that's a good thing.
Why do it here? Why don't we do it in a remote place? Why in front of a residential area? Because it's a poor place and it doesn't matter because it's a poor area. It's just where, you know, we're poor people. Let's just stick it there in front of their houses.
Data analysed by the BBC shows that waste is 10 times more likely to be burned in the most deprived areas of the UK, like Runcorn, compared to the best-off neighbourhoods.
Yeah.
Eddie Thompson manages 7 food banks in the town.
So that's 7 public-facing distribution centres open every single day, and they're used every single day. We've seen in the last 2 years a 200% increase. 200% in 2 years is a huge reflection of how the cost of living and COVID has affected the community itself.
The incinerator's been here nearly a decade now. How has that impacted the community?
The incinerator has brought a feeling as though we have become a dumping ground and we're a second-class area compared to everywhere else. I'm no expert in mental health, but I do feel as though because it is looked at as a dumping ground, mentally people feel as though in some cases they're worthless. I don't blame Viridor or anything like that, but I do look at, are we getting it right? Putting everything, all bad stuff in one place.
Viridor does make a contribution to the community through actions like sponsoring the local football team, Runcorn Town, who play their home matches in the shadow of the incinerator.
We've got a great relationship, to be fair. Ever since they opened, they've been our sort of main sponsors, you know, like on the front of the shirt, as well as sort of sponsoring the club that way. They sponsor this ground as well.
There are people complaining about the noise and the smell and the steam coming out of it. Have you had any experience of that here?
No, we don't really. I think possibly because we play on a Saturday afternoon and sort of midweek evening 1 or 2 times a year, maybe Tuesday evening, and perhaps the schedule's not as busy then, but we don't see any of that, to be fair.
For some people in the town, the incinerator has been controversial.
Yeah.
What's your view?
I do see sort of where they're coming from. You know, from a football club point of view, you know, we're here, they're 200 yards over the road. We're not going anywhere and they're not going anywhere. So we've got to have that good relationship, just as we do any other sort of local companies in the area. And you know, they have been great with us.
Over the past 20 years, there's been a huge shift in the way the UK manages its waste. We used to bury our bin bags underground in large landfill sites. But as concerns grew over emissions of the planet-warming gas methane from these locations, governments have pushed up landfill taxes, forcing councils to look for cheaper alternatives.
Viridor believes this waste should have a purpose too.
Incinerator companies promised a better solution to landfill, with the added advantage of generating energy. And in just a decade, their numbers have doubled to around 60 currently, with dozens more planned. These facilities turn the contents of our bins into heat by burning them in large furnaces. This creates steam from water, and that steam drives the turbines that make electricity.
Transforming our residual waste into power is a step in the right direction, making a vital contribution to Britain's renewable energy supply.
Incinerator operators say their systems are a greener way of dealing with waste, producing less of the carbon emissions that are warming our planet.
Gases formed as part of the process are treated and filtered before being safely released with steam.
BBC research finds that these sites are now producing as much warming gas as if they were burning coal. With Britain ending its use of coal at power stations like this, our analysis shows energy from waste incinerators are now the UK's most carbon-intense source of energy. We've also found that the amount of carbon dioxide coming from incinerators has increased by 40% over the past 5 years, as more and more plastic is being sent to these furnaces. Government advisors and experts are concerned that our continuing dependence on burning will mean we'll miss key climate goals.
We've managed to reduce the amount of material that's going to landfill. If that has led to things being incinerated instead of being recycled, as sort of, incineration, as you imply, being the kind of sort of inverted commas easy option, that's definitely not the right outcome. We do have concerns about the building of new energy from waste plant. This can't be seen as a sort of just a way of getting out of jail for free and dealing with the whole kind of management of waste.
The body that represents incinerator operators across the UK, the Environmental Services Association, says the rise in emissions is down to the growth in the number of facilities now burning waste. They insist that incineration is a better way of dealing with rubbish than using landfill. But there's another factor here that people don't think about, and that's the emissions created by the transport of waste. The BBC has learned that rubbish being sent to incinerators is rarely burnt locally. Our analysis shows it travels long distances across the country by truck or train. 2 large incinerators in the northeast take waste from around England, including from Merseyside, 150 miles away.
This is Teesside, a key part of the UK's industrial heritage. For decades, blast furnaces along this river made steel for the world. But those days are gone. Now the furnaces around here are mainly used to incinerate our rubbish.
We have an incinerator just over on this side that's already burning 400,000 tonnes worth of rubbish a year at Haverton Hill. Now, in the pipeline, there are other incinerators as well. The carbon output is huge. Off a planetary level, it's a disaster because we're talking about 400,000 tonnes per year over 30 years of carbon per incinerator. There's a potential here for the incinerators to be in double figures. And then for my area, for Redcar, my hometown, which has suffered a massive decline over the years, it's just another kick in the face. We're going to end up with a situation where we're importing everybody else's rubbish. We're becoming the rubbish backyard of England at least, and it's simply not acceptable.
The BBC's research also reveals that UK councils have at least £30 billion worth of contracts with waste operators involved in incineration. Some of these councils have been locked into deals lasting 30 years. On Teesside, local journalist Ray Casey feels signing up to this waste solution is short-sighted.
On this clip, you can see a heap. It's blowing everywhere. The smell is overpowering. This town of Billing, with a population of 35,000, now burns the waste for 2.3 million people, almost the entire population of the northeast of England. I can't think of another part of the UK that would tolerate that. I think it's down to our wish to bring any industry in here, and we're prepared to pay any price.
Any steam that's not exported is fed into a turbine.
Suez, which operates 3 energy from waste sites in the Tees Valley, told us the facilities it operates provide an essential service for the local community, which it has a positive relationship with. And the Environment Agency, which regulates incinerators, says these sites are one of the most tightly regulated sectors and pose no risk to human health.
Stop the burn! Stop the burn!
But a group of medics are raising concerns about their impacts.
We don't care in Newcastle, we just burn it.
We all want to live in a place where we can breathe clean air, where our communities and families can be safe and healthy and live in a clean environment. When you arrive here, you can feel it in the air. You can feel that it's dirty, it's smelly, it's noisy. And can you imagine what that would have, the impact that would have on your health? As health professionals in the region, we don't want to stand by as more and more incinerators get built on Teesside without raising the alarm about the health concerns and the environmental concerns, because people in this area deserve so much better.
Travelling around incinerator towns like Runcorn and here in the Tees Valley, there's a familiar story. You get a sense that people feel undervalued and ignored, that they're rapidly becoming the solution to other people's waste problems.
There's quite a noticeable smell of burning today.
Oh yeah.
Is that
That's a regular.
That's a regular thing?
Yeah, every day.
And that's from the incinerator?
9 out of 10 times it's from the incinerator, yeah. You know, your car is constantly covered in ash and debris and that. We don't know what that is. We have no clue what's been burnt. Why can't they just use the landfill? Why do they have to keep putting incinerators up? You know, the banging, the incessant noise of vehicles coming up and down.
The council would say it's creating some jobs and it's making electricity, and those are good things. And it's bringing some money to the area.
Well, we've yet to see it. I've not yet seen any money spent in Port Clarence. I've lived here for 8 years and it's no different. Take it to another area and let them deal with it and see what we, on a daily basis, have to go through. And 9 out of 10 people around here will go. Their attitude is, it's only Port Clarence, it don't matter. Well, I'm sorry, it does matter.
The government says it's considering the role that waste incineration will play in the UK's future. But people living next door to these sites want to see their concerns taken more seriously, and they want their voices to be heard.
We're not a dumping ground. We live here. This is our home and our area. Why should we have to put up with everything that we're putting up with?